Hello, everybody. It's another episode of Gone Racing. Jeff Motley here in the South Point Hotel Casino studio, and I'm joined in a far, far away land by a giggling Brendan Gaughan. Brendan, first off, where are you?
Ann's new where in the world is Brendan Gone Diego? I am now in Edinburgh, Scotland. Good day, Governor. Michael James, we had my race at Coronado, and then jumped on a plane, came across the pond to London to watch Michael James perform at the Royal Festival Hall on Tuesday. And then today, just so everybody knows, if you didn't already know, Jeff, I am an absolute Harry Potter dork. So today we actually did a Harry Potter tour around the Edinburgh proper, which is where basically J.K. Rowling finished writing the book and got a lot of her ideas from here. Saw the Elephant Cafe, the Balmoral, where she was living when she wrote the last book. Saw some of the cemeteries where she got some people's names and stuff from. So very cool to see a lot of the inspiration of Harry Potter. So yes, I will freely admit that I am a dork and Harry Potter nerd, and I was Harry Potter geeked out today.
Bigger fan of Harry Potter or Spaceballs?
Oh, well, Spaceballs, that's a whole, there are two different categories there. I mean, I can do Spaceballs on top of my head, but Harry Potter's a little deeper than Spaceballs, let's say.
All right.
A little deeper.
All right. And before we get into all the stuff that we do on the show, how was your experience coming out of retirement last week at Coronado? I mean, and I did hear your interview, and that was your final race in a NASCAR world,
Yeah.
it sounds like.
Yeah, no, it was real. It was fun for a few laps. It was real fun. Look, McAnally did a great job. He gave me a nice truck. Dewey and the guys were doing fine. I messed up in qualifying along with about 18 other trucks in the field, and I did some pretty good damage. The boys worked pretty hard to fix it, and way to go to McAnally's guys. They had 3 of the 5 cars wreck in practice or qualifying, so we were busy back there trying to get these things back together. But right from the drop of the green flag, I knew something was wrong. And we basically had a sway bar problem all day. They actually changed the bar under one of the pit stops. And I was like, all right, I had a race car for about a lap and a half, and then the bar rebroke. So then I didn't. And one of the things I said at the end, though, Motley, what better way for me to go out? One, I mean, when I started with McAnally in 1998, I wrecked his race car in Japan. And we had to put it in a shipping container to move the rear clip up 2 inches. So we literally chained it to the shipping container it went in, and then used a porter power to lift it up. And I ran top. I was like 11th with 30 laps to go in that race, in a cup race, not a West race, a cup race.
That was the first race that Dale Earnhardt and Dale Earnhardt Jr. ever raced together.
Raced against each other. That's right. The Motegi Japan race, 98. And then I go here, and basically I end up wrecking his car in practice again. And then to fix the car at the end, which was absolutely phenomenal. Dewey, what a brilliant move. Anybody that understands these cars, Jeff, knows that we have packers in the shocks. And, you pull a 16th a packer, an 8th a packer shim. That makes a big difference on these cars and trucks. Dewey put the travel packer in, which is basically a solid 2.5-inch tall shock spacer. Basically meaning I have no more right front shock. And then he took every round out of the left rear spring, which means now I don't have a left rear spring, and said, see if you got something. And I actually was able to keep up with the pack finally. I made a few passes on the day, come home in a 16th place finish after spending most of the day doing an hour and a half of practice laps halfway behind the field. So very difficult day, but in the end, what better way to go out than with a Hail Mary pass, most like everything else I did. So we Hail Married. Thank you to Bill for letting me do it. Thank you to NASCAR for that. That was one heck of a weekend, Motley. It was so much fun. The pictures, I'm going to post some of the pictures soon. Just the South Point Chevy with the an aircraft carrier in the background, an Osprey in the background, a Chinook in the background, and just so freaking cool. The visuals from this race. And my guy Daniel Hemrick came home second in it too, which wasn't half bad. We'll take it.
Well, certainly looked great on TV, and I guess nobody was happier to leave Coronado last weekend than a shocking win in the Cup race by Corey Heim, a part-time driver running for 2311. He's really a full-time Truck Series guy, I guess. And he's going to be running in the Cup Series for 2311 next year, but he breaks it home, and he passed one of the best there is, Tyler Reddick, with just a few laps to go to win that race. Pretty impressive effort.
Oh. Well, I mean, huge kudos to Tyler Reddick. They were teammates, but Tyler lost it, roughed him up a little bit, sent him into the fence. Tyler did the classy thing, let him go back and re-race after that. But way to go, Corey Heim. And you and I talked about it. SVG is not a guaranteed winner, right? SVG is just because he's the fastest guy there doesn't mean he's going to win. And here we go. We poo-pooed this guy. 80-1 shot, Motley, to win the race.
80-1. I don't think any of us really get. I think for the most part, we don't expect part-time guys to really be able to challenge to win. Now, SVG got his first career win as a part-time guy going in Chicago, driving for his team there. So it's not unprecedented to have it happen, but pretty incredible. You're right. He was 80-1. He was 25-1 to get a top three. He won Group E at plus 295, and he brought Toyota home to a victory at a plus 380. So pretty good numbers right there. And if we take a look at the rest of the top 10, Brendan, how about Bubba Wallace? 40-1 for a top three, and he was 2 laps down. He got 2 laps down for losing a wheel, had to make up 2 laps, which very fortunate for him. On a road course, you make up those 2 laps because not many cars are going a lap down. And he was fortunate enough to get both a stage brake caution and then another caution. But still, an incredible run there for Bubba. And then Kyle Larson gets a top 3. I think you picked Kyle for a top 3, so good pick on your part.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
At a plus 500. At a plus 500. And then looking at the rest of the top 10, how about Zane Smith? Zane Smith gets a 4th place finish.
He was strong.
I would like to point out that I had Zane to win his group. It was Group F, and he lost Group F with a 4th place finish. I want you to know that hurts because Bubba Wallace was also in Group F. Where did that come from?
Great runs. Riley Herbst was running 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, I don't know
to the checkered flag.
What happened to him.
And he got into a hassle-off with AJ, and I texted his father after the race. I'm watching the last few laps, and I'm looking at the scoring monitor. I'm going, Riley, don't mess with AJ. He was in front of him, but I was like, but then AJ passed him back, and then Riley, I'm like, Riley, don't mess with him. Don't mess. AJ does not care. Don't mess with him. And I guess AJ shipped him right before the checker. But Riley's still a top 10 right there. Chris Buescher, the guy that we call the sneakiest, greatest road racer in the next-gen car, he's sitting there in 6th place. McDowell did what we knew he'd do. Blaney, like you said he'd do. So a lot of names that we said would do good. Dinger, you were poo-pooing the Dinger. I said, look, the Dinger, I think he's going to be here for this one. And he was. So, but some surprises. How about Bubba Wallace passed Kyle Larson with like 2 to go to get 2nd place? Like Larson he passed him back. So way to go, Bubba. What a great run for him, and 40-1 on a top 3.
He was really smart how he conserved his tires there. I think he was maybe hoping that maybe Heim would wear his out racing so hard with Reddick, but it just wasn't quite enough for him there. All right, let's look and see how our groups did this week. In Group A, and this one hurts too because I did have Tyler Reddick to win Group A, and he was looking pretty good.
Yep.
Until he had a flat tire with 2 laps to go. So Michael McDowell came home 10th and won Group A. He wouldn't have won hardly any groups. He wouldn't have won hardly a single group, but he won Group A by finishing 10th. Group B, our 3rd place finisher, Kyle Larson, was a plus 270. He won Group B. We were just talking about Group C, where AJ Allmendinger, who was the dog in the group, plus 340, just edged out Chris Buescher to win that group. Yeah, look at that. Chris Buescher, Ross Chastain, and Ryan Blaney. All top 10s out of Group
5th,
C.
6th, 7th, and 8th. That's a heck of a group right there.
And then we go down into Group D, where Daniel Suarez won Group D with a plus 265. One guy in that group made some headlines, Kevin Magnuson. He and Noah Gragson definitely had some fun after the race. I don't think they'll see each other much for the rest of the year, but I guess you got to get in your licks while you can. And then Group E, no big surprise. We just talked about that. Corey Heim with his plus 295 winning Group E. And I was already lamenting the Group F. Bubba Wallace won Group F at a plus 260 with a second
Group F
placement.
with 2 top 5s.
2 top 5s. 2 top 4s. 2 top 4s. And I, of course, had the 4th. No, my point is I had the fourth place guy. I know what you're saying. So we take a look at our standings now, and the guy who thought he was in the catbird seat going into this race, sitting in 14th in points going to a road course, Shane Van Gisbergen, now finds himself on the outside by 5 points. Logano's 10 points out, and Keselowski's crept within 13.
You know, we talked about this, where this was going to be the few races that SVG was going to get him comfortably into the playoff standings, and like, okay, he's got a shot. This hurt. That wreck on turn one absolutely crushed him. So now SVG is going to have to not only have Sonoma to get it done, but then he's going to have to start performing on some of these road ovals down the road. And he's got some names. I mean, Logano, Keselowski, Priest. He's got to leapfrog somebody there. So I mean, he's got a whole lot of stuff that he's going to have to get past to get himself back to the top, 16. It's going to be a rough road for him now when you look at some of these names that he has to get past to get back in.
And Ryan Preece has hopped into the top 16 right now, and with that big point penalty he had earlier in the year for the rough driving, I mean, that's pretty huge for him. So we'll see how this plays out over the next few weeks. And speaking of the next few weeks, this weekend we're back on another road course, Northern California up in Sonoma. Then we return to Chicagoland Speedway. First time we've raced there in a number of years. Then it's off to Atlanta for the Quaker State 400. Then we run a points race at North Wilkesboro. And then it's the end of July, the last race there, back to Indianapolis and the Brickyard. So pretty good schedule coming up.
Yeah, I mean, how about that, though? You got 2 mile monster, short track, old school road course. Once again, scheduling amazing what they've done.
Yep, got a little bit of everything coming up over the next 5 weeks. And we've got a little bit more coming up on Gone Racing. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back into Gone Racing. Jeff Motley and Brendan Gaughan joining us from Edinburgh, Scotland. How's everything in Scotland?
I got to get me a malt whiskey.
Are they World Cup crazy over there? Although their team's not doing very well.
Well, it doesn't matter. They're World Cup crazy in America. So I think all the crazies are in America right now. The Tartan Army. I'm looking at the news, looking at Miami and Boston. Did you hear that they drank the Sam Adams Brewery out of beer?
I did hear that. That's
phenomenal.
That's remarkable. It was kind of like the West Virginia baseball fans drinking all the Jello shots in Omaha last week. I mean.
They said that Miami, I saw a deal on the news while I was over here that Miami Miller Lite brought a boat to fill in Miller Lite down at Miami Stadium because they were worried they were going to run all the Scots. So it has been fun being over here during World Cup because a lot of World Cup crazy over here in England. So
hard for me to imagine.
Actually, kind of a lot of fun.
Hard for me to imagine the Scots drinking Miller Lite, but you never know. So
hey. Bring it in.
Well, one place where they like to drink wine as opposed to beer is Sonoma County, and that's where we're heading off to this weekend. And, we got one guy in this race who's got multiple victories here, and that's Kyle Larson. He's won here twice. But we don't have a lot of wins in this field. SVG, he, of course, dominated the race and won last year, and Daniel Suarez has a win here. But this thing could be wide open if something were to happen to SVG.
Well, and look, we saw it last week. We've said it all along. Anything can happen. SVG has not just given him the trophy before he gets there. But this is not like Coronado was. This is not blind corners and tight turns. And, this is a traditional road course. And my feelings about Sonoma road course in particular. So I poo-pooed SVG last year because I said, oh, this course has been dumbed down so much that it puts it, back in the advantage of the guys, the NASCAR guys. And as soon as I said that, SVG went out last year and finished second in stage 1, first in stage 2, and led 97 laps.
And he would have won stage 1. He would have won stage 1, except he pitted right at the end of the stage to maintain his track position. I mean, he dominated the race.
Yeah. So I am not betting against SVG again this year like I did last year.
Well, speaking of our odds, let's get into our odds to win this week. And no big surprise, obviously, Shane Van Gisbergen sitting at the top of the chart at a minus 150. He's followed by his teammate, Connor Zilic, at plus 600, who I know he was running well, but we still have yet to see a strong finish out of Zilic. So once we see that, I'll change my tune. Tyler Reddick is the next favorite there, plus 800. Then Kyle Larson is 12-1. Michael McDowell at 16. Ty Gibbs, Ryan Blaney at 25-1. Chris Buescher and Chase Briscoe at 30. AJ Allmendinger, William Byron, Chase Elliott, all at 40. Similar numbers that we saw last week.
Yeah, I mean, similar. And I'm going to go back to last year at Sonoma. A guy that right there sitting at 30-1 for win is Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe, he finished second, 7th and 5th in stages, led some laps. I mean, albeit, as they were doing pitting stuff, but I like that number. I also really like the Chase Elliott number. Chase Elliott, really good here at Sonoma, and he's 40-1. So give me that. Give me the Chase Elliott. I mean, 9 races, 7 top 10s, 5 top 5s for Chase Elliott in the last 9 races, Jeff. I mean, that's I like that the problem is I'm betting this for a win, which means SVG has to have something go wrong.
And that's what happened last week. I mean, it was an accident, not even of his own making. 2 guys crashed in front of him, ends up taking him out. So we don't think that'll happen 2 weeks in a row, but you never know. One other guy I like here, even though because he's got a double digit by his name's Kyle Larson, 2-time winner. This is clearly his hometown track. He grew up right there in Elk Grove, right up the road by Sacramento. So big deal for him. Let's look at
both.
Oh, go ahead, Brendan.
Good.
All right,
I was going to say both those numbers are good. That's Kyle Larson is legit, and he was there last weekend also.
All right, let's take a look at our higher odds here. Ross Chastain and Carson Hocevar both are 60-1. Ryan Preece, Daniel Suarez, and Christopher Bell, who most likely will not finish the race as he had to have Brent Cruz come in for him at the first caution last week, and I know he's talking about doing the same thing this week. They're all 80-1. Bubba Wallace, Austin Hill, Denny Hamlin, Zane Smith, and Joey Logano are all 100-1, and the field bet is 20-1. I don't know who on earth would be in the field that's a better option than these guys, but okay.
Well, I mean, Bubba Wallace did finish second last week at 100-1, but again, we're counting on SVG not being there. I just don't think there's anything that really excites me on this one. Even Denny Hamlin being 100-1 on page 2, or Joey Logano, 100-1 on page 2. Those are names that we don't normally see way buried over there, but it's just not enough for me. I think we've already talked about who we want to have win this race.
Yeah, I think a healthy Christopher Bell would probably have a different number beside of his name.
Yes,
clearly,
but he's not healthy Christopher Bell.
Correct. All right, let's move along to our odds for top 3, where no big surprise, and maybe surprise how big the number is, but it's similar to what it was last week at Coronado. Shane Van Gisbergen, minus 500 for a top 3. Minus 500. Take it if you want. The rest of them, Tyler Reddick, Connor Zilic are plus 250. Kyle Larson's plus 265. Ryan Blaney, 400. Michael McDowell, 425. Ty Gibbs and Chase Briscoe at 550. William Byron, Chris Buescher, AJ Allmendinger, 600. Chase Elliott is 10-1. Christopher Bell, 12. Daniel Suarez, 14. Chastain is 15. Hocevar, 17. Preece, Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Austin Hill, all 25-1.
Well, let me start. I'll start real quick at the end here. Bubba Wallace, 25-1. I mean, we're going off of what have you done for me lately sort of theory, right? Bubba, though, looking really good, lately, much better on the road courses, but 7 races, 0 top 10s, average finish 24. I don't want to reach that far. But I do want to reach to the guys. Look at Michael McDowell, 425. Kyle Larson, 265 is not terrible. Ty Gibbs, 550. I mentioned Chase Briscoe. These are all numbers right there that are big returns, big numbers. I really like Ty Gibbs and Chase, both in those Toyotas, 550 each, and Larson, 265 more than most.
Well, and the other one I like is another guy named Chase. You get a double-digit top 3 on Chase Elliott at 10-1. It's a pretty strong number out there. I think the problem is if SVG has a good run, then that narrows down the number of spots in the top 3, even for somebody like Chase Elliott to get into. And I'm guessing Heim's not racing this week, or we would have certainly seen his name up on the board. So Almost surprised
not in the field.
they didn't pivot to want to put him in there this week. All right, let's look at our longer odds for the top threes coming up here. And we start with a guy who had a top 5 last week, Zane Smith, and along with Joey Logano, are 28-1. Alex Bowman is 30. Todd Gilliland and Austin Cindric at 35. Riley Herbst, John Hunter Nemechek, Brad Keselowski, 40-1. Austin Dillon, 55. Eric Jones, 70. Ty Dillon, Stenhouse, Noah Gregson, Josh Berry, Cole Custer, Cody Ware, all at 80-1.
I mean, Zane Smith, with how he ran last weekend, makes you say, but things that make me go, but I just, once again, totally different style course, even though they're both road courses, totally different. I don't see that good of a run coming out of Zane like he had last weekend. So basically all these on this page, I don't even like for a top 3, especially when we're thinking it's only going to be 2 available positions with SVG being, that only leaves 2 spots. Don't like any of them.
Yeah, I'm totally with you 100% there. Obviously we talked about the fact that Zane Smith and Riley both had really strong runs last week for top 10s, and Riley had a chance for a top 5 at the end, but I'm with you. I don't think we're going to get anything out of those. So nothing there. All right. So just to give everybody heads up, this week we are not doing our normal head-to-heads because it is the first week of the NASCAR in-season playoff tournament. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and start with our group matchups. We're going to get started on those in this segment, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about the bracket and some of the head-to-head matchups in the tournament in the third segment. So let's move along to our first group. No big surprise that SVG is nowhere to be found in Group A, where our co-favorites are Connor Zilic and Tyler Reddick at plus 240. Kyle Larson is plus 280. And Michael McDowell, who won Group A last week, plus 320.
Man, like you said last week, and after how good Tyler Reddick ran all day, I really like that Tyler Reddick 240 number. I mean, Larson, the only one that spooks me there, but I do really like that Tyler Reddick plus 240 without an SVG in that group.
Well, and I'm with you on that one 100%. I mean, I really, really like Reddick here. I like Larson a lot too. And look, Reddick, if he doesn't have a flat tire because he raced so hard with Heim and they made contact, which I do believe is probably what resulted in his tire going down. I mean, Reddick, if at worst he finishes second in that race. So throw SVG in the mix, and the worst he finishes is third in that race, right? I know that he and Larson both they love this racetrack simply because it is both of them, it's their hometown track. Reddick's from about an hour and a half north of Sacramento. Larson's 30 minutes south of Sacramento, which is only about an hour and 15 minutes from the track. So it's a big race for both of those guys. I like the number on both of them, but if I had to lean one way or the other, I think I lean Tyler Reddick in this group. All right, let's take a look at our Group B here, where Ty Gibbs is a pretty overwhelming favorite at plus 175. Then Chris Buescher and the Stash are both at plus 285, and Chase Briscoe is plus 390. And of course, I wanted to say the Stash for those of you who do not know. Brendan, did you get to go and play with Blaney's mustache at all while you were there? Did you run your fingers through it or anything?
I saw him at dinner on Thursday night. I gave him a big hug and told him, whatever you do, don't shave it. Best mustache this sport has seen since senior. He said, until she makes me shave it, I'm going to try to keep it.
Well, okay. Well,
you got to see the Gone Racin YouTube. It's glorious. It's even better in person too, by the way. It's even bigger than that picture.
I am just glad that you got a chance to spend a little time with the Stash while you were there.
It did too. I walked right up to him. Him and Chase Elliott were having dinner, gave him a hug and said, dude, you have the most glorious mustache. Don't get rid of it. I don't care what Roger says. He says the only one he's going to listen to is his wife. When she says it's got to go, it's got to go.
All right. Well, it clearly hadn't slowed him down. All right. We'll finish up Group B and we'll get into the other groups when we come back on Gone Racin. Welcome back into Gone Racing. Jeff Motley here at the South Point Hotel Casino Studios, and Brendan Gaughan joining me from Mariol, Scotland, in Edinburgh, Scotland, where he's on a little family vacation over there.
Hello, Gunnar.
That's your.
Yeah, Anne asked me if I could do a Scottish accent the whole time. I said no, it'll end up sounding more like an Australian or something. I'll embarrass myself, which I'm good at embarrassing myself. I'm not afraid, but I don't think I can pull that off. So I'm just going to be me.
And I think for most of us Americans, we sometimes have a hard time distinguishing the British accent or the English accent from the Australian accent. Although I do know that I get chastised by one or the other if I confuse them. So I try not to attempt to do that myself. So
And
anyway,
don't call a Kiwi an Aussie and an Aussie a Kiwi. Anyway.
yeah, that doesn't go over well either. All right, so we had just touched on Group B right before we went to break, where Ty Gibbs favorite 175, Blaney Busher both at 285, and Briscoe 390. Got any strong feelings there?
The only thing is it's hard to bet against Chris Buescher basically with what he does on these road courses, right? I mean, he is the statistically best road racer in the next gen car. As far as not wins, just solid finish. I mean, he has in the last 10 road races, 6 top 10s, 4 top 5s, 1 win, average finish 9.7. Yes, SVG is better. Yes, Christopher Bell has a better average finish in the 10 road races, but we don't count that right now with the broken wrist. But just Chris Buescher is sneaky, man. It's hard for me to bet against him, even though I love Chase Briscoe, even though I love the stash, even though I'm high on Ty Gibbs. It's hard for me to go against Chris Buescher.
I'm with you there. I like Busher a lot in this group. I know that I tell you, plus 390 on Briscoe is a huge number, and I know we like to do the Martin Truex Jr. comparisons
Martin
here.
Truex Jr.
Let me tell you, Martin Truex Jr. was about as good as anybody at this racetrack when he was on. So that's a great number on Briscoe, but I'm with you. I kind of like Busher here, kind of waffling a little bit on that one, but we'll see. All right, let's move along to Group C, where A.J. Allmendinger, pretty big favorite here at plus 225. William Byron and Chase Elliott at plus 250. And Ross Chastain comes in at a huge plus 380.
I'm zeroed in on one. I know the Dinger had a great run last weekend. I've been pretty high on him on these road courses, but Chase Elliott right there sticks out to me. He's 250. It's a great return. Love it. Give me Chase Elliott all day long.
Well, this is going to sound really, really boring to those listening on the radio, but Brendan, I agree with you. I really like Chase Elliott in this group here. I think this track is conducive to his driving style, and I think Chase Elliott will do very well. So I do like Chase Elliott in Group C. All right, moving along to Group D, we got co-favorites here where Carson Hocevar and Ryan Preece are both plus 260. Daniel Suarez, a former winner at Sonoma, along with Bubba Wallace, he of the second place finish last week in Coronado, both bring up the rear at plus 275.
Yeah, I mean, look, Daniel's got the one win, but what I look at Daniel is in his history, 16, 15, 17, 12, 1, 14, 14. He's consistent. He's that low teens number, which a lot of times that's all you need in Group D. Hocevar, not on the bandwagon right now. Preece, running 10, 11, 12, 13. Bubba with that big run last weekend, but here has not been a place that's been kind to him. I like Suarez 275.
I'm leaning on the Suarez. Hocevar is one of those guys that I never know. I mean, 1 week he's
don't disagree
world beater. He is so hard to predict. So in my mind, when you get Hocevar into a group, it becomes really hard to pick that group because there's a part of you that says, man, if he wins it, I'm not going to be surprised. But if he comes out and it's a bad day for him, he's not even in the conversation. So, and I agree with you on exactly what you said on Bubba, that, he did have an incredible run last week at Coronado, but I know his feelings about Sonoma. I know that Sonoma has never been one of his favorite places. Certainly he's struggled at Sonoma. So, yeah, I think I probably lean Suarez here, but man, there's a part of me that says if Hocevar wins this group and wins this group big, I wouldn't be shocked. All right, so let's move along here to our Group E, where our co-favorites, and this is an interesting collection of drivers here, I believe, in Group E. So Denny Hamlin and Zane Smith are both plus 265. Austin Hill and Joey Logano are plus 270.
Yeah, you're giving me what we said last week. I'm taking Denny Hamlin, Group E. I got to take him. I'm not taking Denny. And you know what? Austin Hill last week, I get it. It was really fast, looked good. But Zane Smith is the hottest guy in this group, and I'm going to pick him over champion Joey Logano and hottest guy in the sport, Denny Hamlin, I'm taking Zane Smith, 265.
I like Zane Smith a lot here too. One thing I want to bring up about Austin Hill, though, before we came on the air, you and I were talking off air. Who has the best average finish over the last 10 races at Sonoma?
That would be the man that just passed away. That is the car he's filled it in for. Kyle Busch, 10 races, 8 top 10s, 6 top 5s, average finish of 7.9. And you always say, what have you done for me lately? Kyle Busch had been doing it lately. Even with RCR and the woes that he had the last couple of years, 10, 12, 2, the last 3, and a lot of emotion over there. Austin Hill getting that win on Saturday was huge.
And running up
and
front
doing it
on Sunday.
And wasn't there just because of strategy, was running fast on Sunday. So I don't dislike it, but Zane Smith just right now is the most consistent on the road course in a lot of places. If I'm going to pick somebody, I can't believe I'm saying this in a group that I'm picking Zane Smith over Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin. Dear God, what am I doing? But that's what I'm thinking right there.
Well, I think I'm probably on the same page with you. I'm definitely leaning Zane Smith. I've probably been higher on Zane Smith all year long, maybe than you have. But
you have.
I just love the way he's running right now, and I think he's running with a lot of confidence. So, and I know we joke about this, and guys, kind of a home track or whatever, but he's another California kid, much like Reddick and much like Larson, who wants to run well when he's in his home state. Now, Coronado would have been more of a home track for Zane because he grew up in Southern California, but it's not like he hadn't run thousands of Legends car or at least hundreds of Legends car races at Sonoma and knows the way around. Even though I know they're two completely different type of race cars, there's still a familiarity and a comfort level going there, I think, that he has. So I do like Zane there. All right, let's look at our Group F, where our favorite now is Austin Cindric at plus 250. Then it's Todd Gilliland at plus 260. Riley Herbst at 270 and John Hunter Nemechek at plus 295.
Really hard to separate this group right here. Not high on any of them at the moment. Riley had a great run last weekend. Do you keep the hot hand? Austin Cindric, Todd Gilliland, both about the same, 4 races, 1 top 10 each, 1 top, hard for me to handicap this one. There's none of them that really jump out in my head and say, oh, I like him.
Well, one thing, and you kind of talked about last week, and I know that for SVG, I don't think it really matters where he goes. He's going to be good if you turn left and you turn right. But I think there's no way you can compare what these guys raced on at Coronado to racing on Sonoma. The only similarity is you turn left and right. But that's kind of like saying that Atlanta and Talladega are the same racetrack, and they are absolutely not the same racetrack. So I don't think because you ran well at Coronado translates into you're going to run well at Sonoma for somebody who's not used to being up there. And that's why, you look at it on paper and you think the guy that should be really good here, and we've been saying this for the last 3 or 4 years, should be Austin Cindric, right? He's the guy that should have the best run, but he really hasn't done it. So I'm with you. Group F kind of scares me. When it comes to our picks that we'll make in the next segment of the show, the more I look at this is, it's really hard to pick wins and top 3s when you got SVG in the field. We don't have our regular driver head-to-heads this week. And so the group matchups are not going to be very, very easy to pick either. So we're going to have some challenges coming up in the last segment. All right, let's take a look at our manufacturer prop a little bit this week, and we kind of snickered at it a little bit last week, and we got very similar numbers this week, although I think Ford was a double digit last week, which they're not this week. But Chevy's minus 400, Toyota with Reddick in the fold there at plus 450, and then Ford comes up bringing up the rear plus 270. And I got to give the pit crew a little shout out. They picked Toyota to win last week, and Corey Heim brought it home for them, and they got a nice little W for that one. So do you think Toyota can do it again?
Well, look, they can. Ford plus 750 last week, double digit. That they led some laps, so that's why Ford's number has come down to a little bit more realistic in that 750 range. Still don't like it, but Toyota 450, I don't dislike. You're giving me Tyler Reddick. You're giving me, I'm not going to say Christopher Bell, but you're giving me Chase Briscoe, Ty Gibbs, Tyler Reddick, bunch of great road racers. like the 450. But the main thing is you're betting against SVG. So that's the buyer beware of it.
Yeah, I don't know that I would. I don't know. You never know what the pit crew might do, but they might try to go to the well again and on that pick. But I'm kind of with you. It's just hard for me in any way, shape, or form to want to go take anybody other than Chevy, and I don't really want to take anybody at minus 400. So, and with that, Brendan, so this weekend marks the kickoff to the in-season NASCAR tournament. It's going to be 5 races. And these are going to be the 5 races that are broadcast by TNT. It's the 5 races that you and I just talked about in the first segment of the show. And we talked about the incredible amount of diversity that we've got coming up in these 5 races. And we can go through some of these just so everyone knows there are 3 matchups that are off the board, that there are no betting lines on. And we understand on DraftKings, we understand one, and that is the Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, because of the questions about Christopher Bell's broken wrist. But also Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman is off the board, and William Byron and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. are off the board. So of the 16 matchups, we do have betting lines on 13 of them. Brendan, are you excited about having this in-season tournament? Do you think it's a great thing?
Yeah, it's good. It still takes some getting used to. NBA, all these leagues are doing these in-season tournaments now, so everybody understands it. NCAA style. Seed 1 is Tyler Reddick. Seed 32 is Alex Bowman. 1 race, knockout format. They run their way down. If you remember last year, Ty Dillon was the giant killer. Remember, Ty Dillon took everybody out in the first 3 rounds. So get some getting used to, but we'll give you odds in a minute.
All right, we come back. We will break down this year's in-season tournament and give you our picks to win for this week. Welcome back into the final segment of Gone Racing. Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan. I'm here in the South Point Hotel Casino. Brendan joining us remotely from beautiful, probably rainy, chilly, cold Edinburgh, Scotland.
It was nice and misty. We went and did the tour. It was nice and cool. London was hot last week, unseasonably hot. We're from Vegas, wasn't that hot. But here, actually had to put a sweatshirt on almost. It was so cold today. So beautiful weather. Love it.
Good for you.
Especially for June.
Beautiful country over there. Beautiful country. Okay. We were talking about the in-season tournament, Brendan, and right before we went to break, you mentioned last year Ty Dillon, a stunning upset in the first race of this tournament over Denny Hamlin.
First 3 rounds, he upset people. He was on fire.
But the first round was over Denny Hamlin. And who is he facing?
Guess who he has again?
If you're Denny and you've had this great year, and your kryptonite, if you will, is a road course, and that this tournament is starting on a road course, are you like, what do you think? Ty Dillon's plus 250, by the way. Denny's minus 360 in their head-to-head.
I look at this and say, Denny Hamlin looking at deja vu all over again with Ty Dillon. And Ty Dillon, I bet they have shirts already made. So I like that number. Look, Ty Dillon, not a terrible road racer. Ty Dillon, Denny Hamlin, not a great road, hasn't been really happy lately. If I look at numbers, Denny here, 10 races, got 5 top 10s though, 3 top 5s. If there's a road course that, Denny's been better on as of late. Okay. You ready for as of late for Denny, Jeff? 20th, 38th, 36th, and 31st.
Those are road courses or Sonoma?
That's Sonoma only. So I don't know. I got to look at that, and I go to road courses. Denny's 23rd best point getter on road courses, and
Ty
Dillon's just barely right behind him. Yeah. So Ty Dillon average finish 26. Denny Hamlin average finish of 21. I'm taking the giant killer. I'm jumping on the Ty Dillon bandwagon here. That's about that one, and Eric Jones, Joey Logano might be the only 2 that I really like, that I look at and go, I kind of like those.
Well, there's a number of head-to-head matchups here that have got both guys with minus numbers on them. But just to give you the guys that were there, some serious underdogs. Austin Dillon's a plus 500 against Ty Gibbs at minus 1,000. Eric Jones is a plus 185. Joey Logano minus 260. Riley Herbst is a plus 650 against Kyle Larson's minus 1600. Ryan Preece is a plus 950 against SVG's minus 4,000. John Hunter Nemechek a plus 500 to Chris Buescher's minus 1,000. One that's a little interesting to me, Bubba Wallace a plus 295 to Michael McDowell's minus 450. That one is a little bit intriguing. Man. Yes. And then
but McDowell, he's a hell of a road racer.
And then we got Gilliland is plus 200 to Suarez's minus 280. Zane Smith a plus 135 to Hocevar's minus 180. That one's a little intriguing.
That I like.
And Gregson's plus 450 to Elliott's minus 800, and Josh Berry's a plus 650 to Blaney's minus 1,600.
Yeah, I mean, the Hocevar Smith, I do like the Smith one, but like you said, when all of a sudden when Hocevar shows up, he shows up and almost wins a damn thing. But Zane Smith, I like that number. That's that one. The Eric Jones Logano to me maybe a little bit, but I do like the Ty Dillon. He was the giant killer last year in this thing. Let's see if he can do it again.
All right. Well, we'll see how the in-season tournament works out. Next week, we'll be able to break that one down, and then we'll only have 16 drivers with 8 head-to-heads next week as we move on to the next round. Yep. Brendan, taking a quick look, we've seen very, very little change or movement at all in the championship odds. Chase Briscoe still holding in there at 18-1. Bells have dropped a bit down to 12-1. I think once he comes back from injury, we see if he's good to go. Actually, if you want to try to bet somebody, Christopher Bell might not be a bad bet right now, 12-1, because once that wrist is better, I think he is certainly going to be a contender.
No, remember, this is what we talk about future bets, right, Jeff? This is where you can do a little bit of hedging. You can get some guys with odds. You got to look at where the value is. To me, you're right. Christopher Bell is one that has massive value. I still like the Chase Briscoe. He's all the way at 18-1. But look at how far Joey Logano has come, 50-1. Do I want to bet Joey Logano right now? No. But do I think that they're going to be this bad all year long? No.
Well, so we're halfway. Sometimes you are what you are.
No, you say that, and then the playoffs start. We said that last couple of years, and then all of a sudden, Penske playoffs that they PP, they tend to do pretty damn good.
Yeah, but the playoff format is a little different now too. I'm just saying they won some of those championships,
playoffs.
And that, yeah. Thank you, Jim Mora. All right,
playoffs.
We're dating ourselves by remembering that. So. All right. So, Brendan, you get all the kudos. Well, not all the kudos. You get most of the kudos from last week in your picks. Now, first off, all of us made points last week. We all were successful.
Yes, we did.
Just not as successful as others. We'll just go in order here. I'll do yours first since you were at the top of the board. You got 3 right with Allmendinger winning Group C, the big one with Kyle Larson and his top 3. And then you picked McDowell over Zilich. So you were probably one of those guys who was really happy to see Austin Hill, Zilich, and SVG all go piling into turn 1. The pit crew, they picked up a couple of wins this past week. They had the Toyota to win, which was really going out on a limb there, but it got a good win there. And they took Michael McDowell over Ty Gibbs. They picked up a win there. And then I had 2 head-to-head wins, but those were like hitting little weak singles in the infield. Gibbs over Zilich and Larson over Briscoe. And with that,
and I got really lucky if you really think about it. Kyle Larson was running 3rd behind, Heim and
Reddick.
What do you call it?
Reddick. I know.
Reddick.
Trust me, I know where Reddick finished because I had Reddick.
Bubba Wallace passed Kyle with like 3 laps to go. And I was like, oh, no, he's 4th. Then Reddick got his flat, and I'm like, oh, yay, he's 3rd. So I'll take the backdoor win on that one and give me another good day. Double-digit day for me, Jeff. Double-digit.
Yes, it was.
Just lengthening my lead back on the old field here.
Yes, and you do have a pretty good lead. You're at 30.9 units right now. I am at 17.6. Our pit crew made up some ground, but it's still minus 14.2. So I got a little ways to go here. So
they needed to have Heim last weekend.
Yeah. All right. So with that, we will get into our picks for this week, and we will start with the pit crew, and they've got a couple of big swings they're taking here. No big surprise. They are going Daniel Suarez for a top 3 at 14-1. They have Chase Elliott in Group C, Bubba Wallace in Group D. They are going to the well 2 weeks in a row where they're taking Toyota to win at plus 450. And they're going to take one in-season bet, Josh Berry at plus 650 over Ryan Blaney.
Okay. Josh Berry over Ryan Blaney.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sure.
He's open for the tire blowout or the blown engine, I guess. Okay.
There you go.
Listen,
they should have just taken Ryan Preece and hope for the best there. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm going to take one top 3. I'm going to take one top 3, and we haven't even mentioned his name very much today, and that's Ty Gibbs, because I love that number on him at plus 550. And part of that is because I really did not want to go to the Chase Elliott well twice, because I have him in a group, because I also like Chase Elliott for top 3, but I decided to go Gibbs. Then the rest of mine are going to be in the groups. I'm going with Tyler Reddick in Group A, plus 240. Chris Buescher, Group B, plus 285. Chase Elliott in Group C at plus 250. And Zane Smith in Group E at plus 265. What say you, Mr. Gaughan?
I've got my stuff sitting here, and I'm almost tempted to take Ryan Preece at plus 950. And let me tell you why. This is a coin flip, right? This is a 50-50 battle. This is just, man to man, 2 guys, and you're giving me plus 950. Anything can happen. All he has to do is SVG have a blown tire or something like last weekend. I'm extremely tempted to take that plus 950. It only costs you 1 unit, and all you have to do is have a blown motor or anything stupid happen. So I'm debating on that right now. I'm trying to talk like. All right, I'm going to take off the bat Chase Elliott top 3, 10-1. I really do like that.
I'm going to be so mad. I'm going to be so mad if he gets that, because I really wanted to, and I just was scared of it.
So I got that one, and I'm going to take out my other top 3. I had Ty Gibbs, but I'm going to remove Ty Gibbs top 3. I am going to go Tyler Reddick Group A at plus 240. It's a 3-man horse race to me, and I like that. I'm going to go Chris Buescher in Group B at plus 285, because it's hard to go against Chris Buescher. I am going to go the head-to-head of Ty Dillon at plus 250 over Denny Hamlin in the Giant Killer is going to take it out for me. And you know what? I am going to do the Preece plus 950. It's a super dark horse long shot, but like I'm saying, it's 1 unit, and it's 950, and all it takes is a blown tire. And Preece has got a deal there. I don't think Preece has to win the dang race. I just got something happen to SVG. Not that I'm hoping SVG that something happens to you. I really do appreciate what you do on a road course, and I love it. But
it's kind of like that golfer sitting in the clubhouse who's trailing by 1. He doesn't really want to hope for misfortune for the other guy on the course. But if he makes a bogey, he's not upset with it.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
Well,
perfect analogy.
Should be an exciting weekend at Sonoma. You ran Winston West, Cup, and truck. What all did you run? You didn't run truck at Sonoma because we didn't run many truck races.
West didn't race there back then, and neither did a truck. So I just raced a lot of sports cars there and Cup. That's it. And then we had Xfinity there a couple of years. But no, it wasn't one. It was more sports cars and the stuff when I was younger. So fun place. Love being there. It's California. Let's have a glass of wine and enjoy a race.
Well, good luck to everybody at Sonoma, Brian, and the whole team up there at Sonoma Raceway. We'll be back next week where we'll recap Sonoma and we'll tell you everything about Chicagoland.